Okay, so this is masterclass number 4. It ended up being a bit of an ask me anything, so there's no real theme around this video, but we do cover things from how to get clips from your stream and the best ways to look for them, how to engage your viewers whilst on stream. We look at safety online. We look at how to take your stream up to the next level, how Stallion did it, how to find sponsors if you're a small streamer, and we answer a couple of other questions too. We ask about 10 questions, 11 questions in total. So if you, for the next masterclass, would like to submit your question, make sure to put them in the masterclass channel within our Discord. We hope you enjoyed the video and let us know if you've got any questions. The first one's from Beast,
Yep.
and he says, and it's quite a difficult question depending on the niche, but how do you decide what is clip worthy or what a clip worthy video is? He says he battles with himself to post as he doesn't know if something's relatable or funny. So he wanted your opinion on that.
Yeah, so we'll actually talk about the sector of the gaming industry and sector as a general, probably on a later question, because I've got some insightful stuff that I've been learning, especially since we last spoke, Marcus. So in terms of clips themselves, it really just depends, to be honest, because there is no final answer to that. And what I mean by that is clips themselves, or the way that at least I look at clips, unless you can design them or style them in a way where they're really kind of like interactive, or like a story told to like hold attention out or retention. Clips, in my opinion, are actually quite a lazy way of doing content these days. When it comes to you doing actual content and videos, a lot of people will now integrate their clips into something that we call bespoke content. So videos and concepts that are made particularly to answer a question, or let's say, like, for example, an area that I'm doing is how to help people get better at Fortnite. And by doing that, I will go with various ideations and ideas. And rather than just using a clip to say, this is what I do and this is why I do it, I create like a storyboard to say, here's why you're making this mistake and why you're doing this wrong. And then integrate clips actually into the story itself, but have like myself involved as like a narrator or a storyteller. Because you have to think, like, there are literally millions and millions of creators now. Like, unless you're already in the top 0.1%, and I'm talking like your Nitmerks, Tim the Tapmans, all those guys, we have to be honest with ourselves. Nobody's going to care about our clips. So to make yourself stand out in a very, harsh environment that the gaming space is right now, you've got to put a lot of effort into it. You've got to storytell. You've got to give somebody a reason to watch it. So I actually don't do really any content around clips anymore. I use my clips to help me storytell and to create bespoke content for my viewers.
And so for, let's say, someone who's being used to just making clips and maybe hasn't thought
Yeah.
about making, purposeful content with a story in mind or a
Yeah.
value in mind to the end viewer, how would you say is a good way for them to go around getting into that habit, switching their mindset from clips into more custom content?
Yeah, really good question. I like to, because I do, as you know, because I've worked with a couple of guys from Yaka, I do my own consultancy with clients. And when I answer this question to them, I put it in a way of, would you watch a series on Netflix, for example, if when you watch the trailer or you look at the thumbnail or you read the description, if it didn't interest you, you wouldn't watch it. The reason that you watch it is because they understand consumer value and they know how to hook you in by like the cinematics or whatever it is they do when they first start a clip or a content. So when you're a content creator, for whatever reason in the gaming space, a lot of us just think that it's just all about gameplay and clips and that's it. It's not. We're actually exactly the same as what Netflix do, but we do it to a different market and a different audience. So when you are the one who's doing it, you have to remember that you have to look at it from the other side. If I was to see your clip on social media, and especially with, how short form is now, people have next to no attention span. Why am I going to stop for your clip over the other millions of pieces of content that I'm stopped at every day? So I would say the first step is to, rather than look at it from a content creator, put yourself in the viewer's shoes and say, if I saw that without knowing who that was or caring about anything like that, would I watch it? And when it comes to normal clips and stuff, the answer is probably no. Because one, like I said, unless you're in the top 0.1%, and I'm talking about your giant streamers here, nobody knows who we are. And I count myself in that nobody knows who I am. So every day when I make a script and I make content, I try and do it in the mind of, I need to give value. Because once you start giving value and giving people a reason to watch, making shareable, binge-worthy content, that's when you start getting pushed out. Places like YouTube and TikTok, the algorithms are built around that. So often I'll get people ask me, like, I only get 200 views on my TikTok videos and my shadow banned. It's like, no, you're not. What you're doing is you're trying the same concept every time and you're not switching anything. And your video will get pushed out and it will just reach the same or the same kind of viewers every time. And then nothing else will happen because you're not giving me any value. Right. So, and I wish, Marcus, there was a really easy way to break it down. It's never easy, really. It's hard. Content is hard. People do not understand how hard it is until you really get into it. But yeah, you have to put yourself in the eye of the viewer. You have to give value and you have to hold someone's attention. Not only do you have to get the attention, you've then got to keep it. And if you're just giving me a regular clip and gameplay, I can go find 5 million other of those clips within a few seconds on TikTok. So why am I going to watch yours? You know?
Is a very good point. And so, for example, what would you say a best practice is then for someone who wants to switch that mindset?
So this is a great question and one that I've been, experimenting with the last 3 months. So I don't want to pull myself down to like one game necessarily anymore because I don't want to go down like a rabbit hole like I did with COD. But as of right now, I am enjoying Fortnite a lot. So I'm making my content predominantly around, let's say, Fortnite, for example, because it's good to have one game to at least anchor off so that people can get used to your content a little bit. Rather than just making Fortnite content or uploading just Fortnite clips, what I'm doing now is I'm centering my content around like educational. But when I come in from an educational aspect, I don't just say, here are the 5 best settings that will make you a better player, or here's the best thing that you can do to make you this. I'd look at a thing called ideation and I like to flip scripts. So rather than saying, here are the 5 best settings that make you better, I say, here are the 5 mistakes you're making and this is why you're not achieving. So I give you exactly the same content, but I give you it in a different way. And by doing that, and by going down I'd say more of a negative connotation, you attract more attention because people start getting curious to think, am I making that mistake? Is he talking about me? You know, you start taking it a bit more personal. So that's how you story tell in a way that not everybody else is doing. You take a concept and rather than just going, I'm going to give the 5 best settings, rather than doing that, make them feel like they're actually doing something wrong. So here's 5 mistakes you're making that you need to change right now, and then build a story around that. So a lot of it comes down to understanding concepts, knowing your community and the people who watch your videos, and ideation. That word there is something that the gaming community and creators need to know way more about. You know, understanding how to flip scripts and change ideas so that you don't just make the same video as everyone else.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think one that goes quite undervalued is that you just said it then. The video can, in essence, stay the same, but the way that the video is marketed in the first
Mhm.
half a second to a second, that can in itself make a huge difference. You know, that can be what
Yep.
makes someone go from scrolling through within a second to maybe staying to the 5 second mark. And
Yep.
that is going to push yourself out. And I think you made a really good point earlier on, which was everyone thinks they're maybe shadow banned at 200 viewers, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time it actually just the algorithm has realized that, you know, people aren't watching this video, and so we're not going to push it anymore. Um,
Yep.
and I think, you know, people have to be maybe more critical of themselves and like take a look at the videos and go, okay, I've made the same, you know, I've gotten to 200 views on the past 10 videos. Nothing's changed. How do I improve this? And just be honest with themselves. And it's a difficult thing to do, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. You have to be able to self-reflect. You have to not take it personally and not just think that the platform is necessarily attacking or targeting you in your account. And you're just like, oh, you know, why are things not working out for me? I mean, to give you guys it real in a real aspect, in the last 3 months, none of my videos have performed anywhere near to what I wanted them to do, which is why I've now focusing more on like an educational niche, because education is an area that's really trending on TikTok at the moment, not necessarily gaming. In fact, gaming is actually a very, very hard space to grow in right now. It's not, I don't believe it's even in one of the top 10 TikTok like areas right now. So you have to take gaming as a sub niche now rather than your full niche, and then pick an area that is like something that's trending on TikTok, whether it's motivational content, whether you go down the route of like educational or whatever. So Now that I've started putting a bit of an educational spin on it, like you said, it generates more value to the viewer. They watch for longer, they share it more, they bookmark it, they'll leave comments because there's a reason for them to watch it. They gain some sort of value out of it rather than just getting a clip and going, oh, why is my clip not getting hundreds of thousands of views? Like, you have to put yourself in TikTok shoes. Like, why does TikTok care about your clip? I know it sounds harsh to say, but it's the reality of it. Nobody cares. It's as simple as that. So once you start understanding that bigger picture, you'll make content very differently.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, we'll move on to the second question, which is from Grim Goddess, and she says, "How do you grow whilst playing some of the more popular games?"
Isn't that a magic question? I mean, that really just depends on your angle. So I have experimented with COD and Fortnite a lot over the last few years, and I've got myself to around 400k in total in two very saturated avenues because I've always tried to focus on like a niche or tried to focus on like a subsector of that industry that could set me out from everybody else. Now, I always try to move back to, I always get sucked into the like, I'm going to report on news because news is really easy, right? You get there's loads of it. Everyone's always interested in it. But like a lot of the time, everyone else is doing that as well. So to find an avenue within that particular game or field that you're interested in, that you can make content around will help you be understood for a type of streamer. Every single streamer who's blown up or got to a level is because they came in through a subsector, or they were known for a game, or they were known for a certain style of video for a certain style of game. And that's how they get known. That's how you get traction because you have to understand, like, if you don't set yourself different to what everyone else is doing, how do you expect to be treated differently to everybody else? The only way you're really going to set yourself apart is by doing different things that no one else is doing, or doing what people are doing, but doing it better. So that's why I like to go down, or why I'm refocusing down this kind of educational route now, at least personally for myself. I know I keep bringing it up a lot because it's just an area that I always gravitate to, one that I'm really passionate about. I'd say that I'm considering that I read chats quite a lot. I'd say I'm pretty good at the game, and I feel like I have a lot to offer in terms of advice. So why not tailor that to content? Whereas if you find yourself as somebody who's like really funny, or someone who's really good at storytelling, or you're like a pro player, or like you do coaching, or whatever your avenue is, use that avenue to find a little pocket of content to make you different than what everyone else is doing. So let's say if even if you're like an Apex Legends player, rather than just going into Apex and going, I'm just going to make general Apex content, like that's great and all, but so is everybody else. So is everyone else in the Apex community. Where's your pocket to make you stand out from what everyone else is doing? And I wish I had the magic answer for everyone's woes and worries on that one, but there is no magic answer because even when you think you've got it, you end up changing because your interests change. A new game might come out. You have to just keep adapting. Just have to keep going until you find what works for you.
Yeah, I was watching and reading something the other day, and I thought it kind of stuck with me as well,
Yeah.
which was, so it was someone asked this question, and the person responded basically saying, "Try and find the emerging trend within the saturated market," which is basically what you've just said then, right? Which is,
Yeah.
what is emerging within a saturated market? I
Yeah.
saw I saw, I think it was sometime last year, there was a young lad who was a streamer, and he basically set up like a full, light show and like DJ set inside of his room every time he streamed,
I know who
and
you're on about. Yeah.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
and he went viral, and he was, brand new,
Yeah.
but it was the fact that, I think he might have been playing Call of Duty or something, and if he won or
Yeah.
someone claimed some channel points, his whole room just went crazy, and
Yeah.
the content wasn't actually really Call of Duty content, it was him and the light show,
Yeah.
which was the entertainment, and the game was secondary, which is
Yeah.
you just, made the point about. So, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you said, Marcus, just on that quick. I think it's just about knowing what your angle is, and whether you decide to make the game primary or whether you decide to make it secondary. That just comes down to trial and error and just finding out what works best for you.
yeah. So, sorry, Grim, it's a difficult question to answer. But hopefully that gives
Yeah,
some assistance. So this one's from Praise, and he's
yeah,
asked, "What are the best ways of engaging your community and keeping new viewers coming back?" So I'm guessing this is more specific to the stream itself, and we get asked this question a lot, which is, how do you keep new viewers engaged, and how do you keep old viewers keeping coming back. And obviously this is a really strong area for you because this is an area
Mhm.
you really focus on.
Yeah. I mean, I did full-time streaming for 5 years. Um, and no matter the game that I play, even if my stats do go down, I still hold the very loyal base. And there are so many ways to do it, from having like a tight knit Discord community to Discord events to when you are live streaming, acknowledging your viewers, remembering things about them. And that's different for everybody, right? Because not everybody is really good at playing a game and talking to chat and trying to do both. Especially now that we're in a world of multi streaming where you're encouraged to stream to even, let's say, more platforms as per se. But with me, I played to my strength on that, in that one, I have a good memory of like knowing who my community are, what they're up to, things that they say in chat, remembering that and then bringing that up. And, obviously that I'm doing like focusing mostly on Fortnite at the moment, but I'll get people who come in that used to watch me years ago during lockdown and be like, oh, Stallion, do you remember me? And I'm like, yeah, man, you're that guy who did this and said this. And they're like, what? That alone takes it to a whole new level, right? Because as a viewer, you don't expect to hear that. Especially from a streamer that probably holds over like even 20 average viewers. That's a lot of things to remember. So anything that engages on like viewership interaction, particularly for those streamers who really are trying to set themselves apart from other people, like the magic question, which links to the first question that was asked, is why am I going to stick with your stream when I could just go watch someone else's? And when I ask streamers that I consult, why would give me 5 reasons why I should sit in your stream rather than watch someone else's? A lot of the time they just go blank. They don't know what to say. That's because they haven't figured out their own USP. If somebody was to ask me the question, for example, mine would be like, I always have like really upbeat and loud music going on. So there's always like an energy and a certain vibe and atmosphere. We don't take any toxicity in our community. So our community is very kind of like clean. It's good vibes. It's positive. You're always like brought into like an encapsulating atmosphere. When it comes to gaming, I stream to 4 different platforms and I read all 4 chats whilst playing either Fortnite, COD, or whatever. I'd say to at least a decent level, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're not able to answer those questions, your downfall is already there because you haven't looked at your stream as a business. You're going up against, and you don't want to look at other streamers as competition, but why am I still going to watch your stream over other streamers? Right? Well, where's the benefit? And if you can't find those benefits, then how do you expect your viewers to find those benefits? So again, that can be in avenues of interaction, channel points. Be careful with giveaways because people get very dependent on that. And you don't want to just be doing giveaways and then people just stop turning up when you've got nothing else to give, because that's a very toxic environment. Um, Incentives, having like a sub community program, sub points, whatever, the whole point is that it's all based to your creativity and whatever works best for you. So again, I know I'm giving quite broad answers, but the reason that I do that is because there's not one shoe fits all. Because if that was the case, everybody's stream would be exactly the same. And that's definitely not the case. Play to your advantages. If you're very chatty, similar to me, open that up. Yeah, speak to people, really get to know people. If you're someone who's focused more on gameplay, make sure that your clips and content and your streams kind of like resonate around that. Make sure people know exactly what they're getting themselves in for, et cetera, et cetera. So,
And when you were in like the early days of your streaming, what were, some of the specific engagement maybe tools or plugins or even maybe not even that, maybe it was just, chatbot commands, or were you using anything like that when you were first starting out?
God, it's hard to say now, man, because 2018 streaming to 2024 streaming is a whole different ball game now. Like I got into it before the crazy saturation started. So it was a bit of a blessing really that I was like a pre-lockdown streamer. Meaning that I had like I could definitely get through stronger back when it was only around Twitch. Making content didn't even really matter. Just putting the hours on stream is what mattered, where it's definitely not the case now. But again, I still started by doing like and finding my own like little niches. I started doing like horror games for a bit. I did these things called like scream streams where I would have like alerts pop up that people could like pay like money for to like scare the hell out of me for certain games, and they became very addictive. So I started pulling in people from that. They getting addicted to me, and then my personality, and then also utilizing social media to kind of get myself out there. But now, like if you're starting off, there is no other way to get your name out there but content. Content. Like if you're not doing content, if you're not living, eating, breathing it, if it's not your core focus, then you're going to be stagnant, and that is just how it is right now. Like you've got to be a really good content creator for your streams to take that next level.
Are there any kind of channel point setups that you use that you find like pull in a lot of engagement from your viewers?
Uh, I wouldn't say, yeah. Well, I mean, I've always used Stream Elements because I like their chatbot system and the way that they like do what they do on there, and how you can have a leaderboard and have like, points that you can slot, gamble, and all of that. But that only really comes to the core community, because you still have to get people there in the first place. So I mean, if you do want anything like that and you need something simplistic, Stream Elements is definitely the way to go. That's the only platform I've ever used for that. Um, but yeah, a lot of it comes down to you and the effort you put in, and then you hope that these tools can help and retain
Yeah.
some viewers when they are sitting there and talking to you. But it actually funny that you say that. That's the reason why one of the platforms that I stream to now, Noise, is being built up on. It's because they actually allow you to play a game within the stream, so you kind of keep yourself engaged whilst watching the streamer at the same time. So platforms are also understanding these kind of questions and are trying to cater and go towards that.
Yeah. And I was speaking to someone this morning because they, were really struggling with engagement. They had like, a 25 average viewership, which is really, really good. And this was for Call of Duty as well.
Mhm.
But they were finding that they were having a really high churn rate of new viewers. And when I went to their bio or about me section, or, even in chat, there was nothing personalized about them as an individual. It was all, all the wording was around, oh, support me and follow my, Twitter, or support me and join my Discord. But if I'm a new viewer, I know nothing about you at this point. Why would I stick around? What commonalities do we have? What can I come in as a new viewer and talk to you about? And I think a lot of small streamers, new streamers really just undervalue like that. If you're really into sport, put what football team you support. And, at this point in your journey, when you're got no viewers or one, two viewers, you're just trying to get people to like you, and it's no different to making friends at that point, really. If someone's in the stream, having facts about yourself, having interests, what dog do you have, where do you live, what your
Mhm.
interests are, ask me about, you know, jujitsu, whatever it might be. And these things can
Yeah.
really help just about, just really simply, like you said, just talk to your community, let them know who you are as a person, because, they're gonna stick for you at the end of the day. And anyone can make COD content, but, if they're not entertaining at the same time, then why would you stick around?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have to. Again, this comes down to one of the early questions that we had. Like, you have to treat your stream and what you're doing as a brand. Like, people want people to invest in them, but they'll come for the game and they won't get anything about them. Like, you'll just be somebody sitting there playing the game or whatever, and they won't it won't have that like homely personal feel to the channel. So it's like, how do you expect somebody to invest time and effort in you if you don't invest time and effort into your brand and like building that kind of like personality, humane factor across? So, like you said, Marcus, if I go into someone's channel and they're a newer streamer and they've not spent any time doing their about me or their bios or anything like that, you can tell. The only thing that says on there is donate. It's kind of like, well, I don't know anything about you. Like, why would I do that? So you have to build the viewer experience. Like, how are you going to get people like involved, and how are you going to keep like interest, and kind of like, and just be able to hold that. People want, like you said, people want to invest in people. So you've got to make sure that you've got to, you know, build that to at least a human level and treat your platform as a brand.
Have you ever tried in the past with like splitting your stream up into segments as if it was some sort of like game show, or as if it was some sort of like, if you're watching, let's say, for example, you're watching live sports coverage, and then they have the commentary, they have the game, then they have the halftime, then they have the game, then they have the commentary, post-match review. Have you ever tried splitting things up, like, a just chatting element, some gameplay, and what if you have, what have you found worked well for you, or what didn't work well?
Yeah, I mean, I keep my layout quite simplistic. I used to have loads of different screens before. I used to try and go down a bit more of a solid production level style thing, but I found that it ended up being quite cluttery and being quite messy, and like it just didn't work for me. For example, like I have like I've got my stream deck in front of me. I've got my starting soon screen. I've got my gaming screen, which I'll use, which is very clean and simplistic. Now I don't have many overlays or anything like that anymore. Obviously, I've got my chatting, which obviously zooms me in, and that's when I'm like talking in between games. I've got one that has like a community night where they can see like what I'm looking at, and I'm there in the corner like talking to them. I've got like some occasional stuff like I use like my back cam where you can then see what's behind me and looking in front of me. And that's, if I'm honest, looking at my stream deck, I've got like a raid scene, but that's about it. Like it doesn't have to be fancy because I try and make the interest about me and the vibes that we bring in. Whereas some people do really like to go OTT on production and really try and bring value in. Look at how visually beautiful my stream is, and look at all this money I've spent and the effort that I've done. Dr. Disrespect being somebody who's probably the king of that, of production on a live stream. So again, there is no one shoe that fits all. It really depends. Some streamers, they have like literally two screens, and that's their gaming one and their chatting one. And yet they have several hundreds of viewers and they know how to engage an audience because the essence isn't on the screens, it's on them.
Mhm.
So again, it can be as much or as little as you want it to be. It depends on what works with your content and your production value.
Nice. Okay, next question's from Shan the Butcher, which she asked, what are the benefits of being a Twitch affiliate or Twitch partner, and what are the drawbacks? Because I think a lot of people put a lot of
God.
emphasis on being a Twitch affiliate and being a Twitch partner.
Oh man, Marcus, we could be here for a while for this one. If I'm honest, like if you'd have asked me this 6 years ago, the answer is very different to what it is now. Like being a Twitch partner back in pre-lockdown was a very, I would say, it's a very honorable thing to achieve. Like it was a status as a because obviously back then TikTok didn't have live streaming, YouTube didn't have live streaming, we didn't have Kick, we didn't have all these other platforms. Twitch was king. And you could arguably say still is kind of king, at least at the moment. But like back then, it was like king. Like it had a proper monopoly over the live streaming market. So if you got partner back then, like back in 2018, 2019, you were seen as like, this is a very, very big achievement. Like you've done really, really well here. You'd get all sorts of benefits, like loads more emotes, obviously the partner tick, etc. Now, if I'm honest, they have cut the line between affiliate and partner a lot. And I'm not arguing against that. Like I think it's great that affiliates get more stuff, but partners alone doesn't really mean anything on Twitch anymore. I mean, you might get some extra emotes. You don't even get an extra better sub split unless you hit their guided like 350 independent sub like counts that don't count like gifted subs, which is a crazy hard number to hit. So if I'm honest now, nothing really. Like being a Twitch partner doesn't really mean anything anymore. You don't even get discounts at TwitchCon, which was one of the benefits that you used to get. So it's kind of like doesn't mean nothing.
Mhm.
So I would rather be a YouTube partner now than be a Twitch one because that probably carries way more weight. Whereas 6 years ago, it might not have been the case. So to give like a summary of that question, the line between the two is very slim. There isn't next to anything anymore. Just focus on you, focus on your content, and everything else will just come in time.
I think one of the things a lot of people put emphasis on for Twitch partner is they think there's going to be a change in split of subscriptions, and it just isn't the case. I don't think a lot of people actually appreciate that.
I mean, it's they're doing 60-40 now. The only way as a partner that you get on the 70-30 split is if you had a contract from a while ago with Twitch, or you hit their new criteria, which is 350 independent subs, tier 1, 2, and 3 all count within 30 days. You don't hit that, then you don't get it. You're a 60-40, just the same as affiliates. They don't even have Twitch partner managers anymore. Like we used to have a manager that we could speak to about getting on the front page or having queries or issues. I haven't heard from mine in like 3-4 years. Don't even know if they're still around anymore.
Mm.
We don't get any communication. So honestly, don't make Twitch partner like one of your main goals. Yeah, it's still a great thing to strive for. It's a good achievement to have. Don't get me wrong, having that tick and being verified is nice, but now it don't hold any weight like it used to.
Next question from Shan again is, what would you say helped you take your content and stream up to the next level?
They're two very different questions for stream and content, that's for sure. I think with my stream, I'm at where I want to be, and I like where I'm at. Um, and that is built from years of like community loyalty, showing them that I'm not just here for the money, that I really do care about my community, the things that I do, the extra incentives that I give them, and try and make it so that they invest themselves not just money wise, but time wise and loyalty wise, and to the Stallion brand. Because that's obviously really important for me. In terms of content, that's a whole different level. Like this covers similar to the question that we were doing earlier when you said about how do I get my clips to or my content to like bang. It's that with content, you have to just keep evolving. Like platforms are being flooded more and more with content now. So to be unique and to really set yourself apart is way harder than what it used to be pre-lockdown. So like the RPMs and the engagement rates and hitting out onto the FYP now on TikTok and all that kind of stuff, well, it's way harder than what it was because they can be more strict with it now because they're absolutely flooded with videos from tons of creators every day, so they can be more picky and choosy. So to get it to the next level, you have to work harder. You just have to learn. You just have to keep adapting. Take inspiration from people who are doing well, why they're doing well. Analyze your stats every day. Analyze every video. Why is it doing? How it's doing? If your engagement is poor, what can you do next time to fix that? Get your average viewership rate up. Get them shares up. Get them likes up. At the end of the day, that's all TikTok and YouTube care about. Watch time, watch time, watch time. Because it's all about how long people spend on those platforms. And the only way you're going to get that is with good and engaging content.
Okay, this question's from Summy, and she asked how to find sponsorships that fit your size but are paid.
It depends on which angle you go by on this one. I think a lot of streamers are very scared to shoot their shot. Like, they'll be like, oh, I only average 5 or 20 or 50. I wouldn't dare write an email to so and so or whatever. When it comes to stuff like that, the worst that they can say is no. So, like, you have to get off your high horse for a while and just like go for it. Make sure you write your emails in a very businessy style way to show them that you are serious. Speaking of seriousness, make sure you've got a link tree. Look for things like media kits and displaying your stats somewhere where they can contact you if you want to pick up stuff. Um, if you want as well, Marcus, feel free to grab my link tree after this and just post it wherever if they need an example or whatever. But for mine, for example, my link tree is done in a way that if a brand finds it, very first thing is my business, contact me, click that, and it goes straight to email. I make it so easy. And even if they're like, okay, I can contact this guy, but I don't know nothing about him. What's his stats? What does he do? My second thing is a media kit. You can see all my stats on all my platforms, engagement rates, examples of my videos, where your brand fits with my brand. Again, it's looking at your streaming content, not from a streamer or a content creator, but from a businessman or woman. You have to know how to monetize yourself. You have to understand that brands will look at things like, see this TV right behind me. There's a reason that there's brands going forward and backwards on there because that's put there for a reason. Any brand can pay me to get their name there so that when I'm on stream, it flicks by, like as you can see with Creator right there, right? That is brand integration. And I do that and try and pitch to brands to say, hey, look, your name could be right here, and this is how much it will cost you. So, and again, that's just one example. So again, it's looking at where can you monetize your stream? What angle can you go at? Not being scared to be proactive. And for the love of Lord, make sure you have a link tree and one that's organized and has all your stuff there. Because if I'm a brand and I want to find a creator for an activation and I go to your page and you have no link tree, no about me, I can't find your stats. I guarantee you I'm not going to waste my time looking for them. I'll just go find someone else.
Yeah, I was gonna just echo that point, which is there are lots of streamers, especially if you're a small streamer. There's lots more, around your size.
Mhm,
Make it easy for a brand because they're probably not gonna, stick around and try and hunt you out. Most of the time you
mhm.
might just end up going straight to an agency who has a bunch of creators on their books. So if you're, self-managed, independent, be proactive. Don't sit back and wait. 'Cause if you are on that smaller bound of 5 to 10 to 20, whatever it might be, don't be afraid to shoot your shot, like you said. The worst they can say is no. And they might say, "Oh, we're interested, but, you're not quite big enough yet. Contact us when you get to this size, and we'll look into it at that point." And at least then it gives you a bit of an idea of what the goal would be to work with them.
It's funny. It's funny we say about the 5, the 10s, and the 20s. One of the names that appears behind me on this TV, not to promote them too much, but is a company called Creator GG, who I'm really good friends with the CEO, and I helped him kind of get his business off the ground. In that they are looking to change the market for what they do in regards to only the big streamers get the big money and the big sponsorships, whereas they are looking to create a marketplace where any streamer of any CCV can apply for opportunities, sponsorships, applications, and actually, like you can see it right there, and you can feel like you're valued or feel like you're part of something because, like, whether you have 5, 10, 20 viewers to a brand, that is going to bring some value somewhere. So, and the market, like, it needs to change right now because it's just the same old agencies reaching out to the same creators doing the same thing, whereas 99% of creators don't even get a sniff at opportunities. And that will come when a change maker like creator, and similar to what you guys are doing, to be honest, like with how you're trying to educate and, push I guess the opposite of what the industry standard is out there to people, to make them understand it's not going to be like this forever. So just keep growing your brand, keep pushing. Don't be scared to go for opportunities, and like, don't be disheartened if brands say, "Look, we're looking for someone bigger." That's fine. Take it in your stride, and you just keep going.
Um, this is more of a safety question. So this is again another
Okay.
question from Shan. So she says,
Yep.
"What are the common mistakes new small streamers make in terms of safety, and how can you avoid these?" So I think an example was showing their like social security number or like their bank account accidentally on stream.
God, I mean, well, it depends really. This list could go on forever. I mean, you don't want to reveal anything. I mean, some streamers are happy to reveal more personal things about them. Like I say, like generally ish where I'm from. I don't say like exactly where, but I say like the county, and people know my name and stuff like that, like my first name and stuff. So again, that really depends on like how like laid back and tight you want to be with it. Some people don't even show their face. You hear a lot these days about faceless channels, that are blowing up and doing really well. It's about the mystery of not knowing who's behind the camera. So there's that kind of like uh style of things going on now. But I mean, it could be anything really. It could be anything from like full names to addresses to ID stuff. If you're online, you just have to be super careful. Not even just in the streaming world, but in general, like what information you show. So, just vet your screens and make sure that you know what you're going to be putting on stream before you go on there.
Do you have any particular like settings or bots or anything that you use, or any moderators that help you doing that sort of stuff in terms of like when you
Yeah, I mean, there's not any time where anything like will come through like that, just because I guess because of my experience and how long I've been doing it for now. But to avoid kind of being or falling into any of those traps is if people ask for like names or passwords and try and make you think that they are official from who they are, just don't believe it. Like, unless you're reached out to someone by who that officially works for a company that you might be asking for. Like it's the same as like receiving spam phone calls or scam emails and stuff like that. Just assume that people are out to be malicious. Because if you go out with that mindset, won't get caught. So if they are official, they'll let you know about it, and you'll know when they are. So if anything weird like that comes through, I have a really good mod team. We just ban it, we get it gone, and we're not. You know what I mean? So
and is that if someone pings a link, for example, inside of your chat or
well, they can't even do that because on Stream Elements you can. And I think actually inside of Twitch you can block hyperlinks, so they can't. It will just come up with like 3 dots, and it's just like you know that they're trying to post a link, and it's like get out.
yeah.
You know?
Okay, conscious of time, so last one or two questions. So we've spoken about this one in a previous masterclass, but maybe just to reiterate
Yeah.
it, some quick best practices is how to create best titles optimized for SEO.
So since we last had this discussion, I've changed the way that I do this. So the way that I do it for YouTube is done for a reason, because the way you find a video, particularly short form on YouTube, is not via an FYP system. When you find a YouTube short, you find it out on the feed, or you find it if you're on your PC again on a row of like shorts. So you're not fed that video. So the way that people get onto your video is by click through rate. So with YouTube, you've got to be a little bit more baity with the kind of thing that you're doing. So for example, I've done. I'll give you an example of a video I posted yesterday that's doing really well on YouTube and TikTok right now. It's a settings video for Fortnite for the new season and how to make somebody a better player. Now, the ideology that I used for that is the reason that you're not winning more Fortnite games is because you don't understand these settings, or you don't know these tips. And then I go through and list all of that. But when I targeted it for YouTube, I put why you're not winning Fortnite matches. Whereas for TikTok, it was people still people still aren't doing the last one, because with TikTok, people will find me through the FYP, right? So when they find my video, they're already there. They don't need to go through to find it. All right. Unless they go through like a search function. So if you say like the last one gets me every time, then as you're watching the video, you see the title at the bottom of the screen. You're like, the last what gets you every time. And it would probably try to encourage people to check out what the last point or the big point at the end that you're trying to make, which in turn gives you watch time. Whereas on YouTube, if somebody was to find me through the visual feed, and I go with something like why you're not winning Fortnite matches, and I give a thumbnail of like some settings or something baity with a red arrow or something, kind of like, okay, why am I not winning Fortnite matches? So I need to go through and click that. And I think it had like, from the amount of people that it got pushed out to, I think a 72% click through rate,
Wow.
which is very, very
Yeah.
good. You want minimum of 50, good is 60, very good is 70, and viral is 80, at least from what I've seen from YouTube. So if you're getting in that 65 to 70 mark plus, you're talking like a good 10K views per short, and probably a good, if your content is valuable, at least 10 subs per video, which is nice. And then with TikTok, you just hope that with you saying something like, oh, the last point makes a lot of sense or whatever, that people will stick to the end to find out what this valued point is. So I title the two platforms very differently. I dress them up very differently so they work in different ways.
Yeah, so just to summarize that then, TikTok, you don't necessarily focus on the titles or the thumbnails, but more so on the actual hook of the messaging. And then whereas on YouTube,
Yeah.
you focus on the titles and the thumbnails more so than the hook of the video at the beginning.
Yeah. So I mean, with TikTok, there's a massive trend of people titling things, especially in the gaming world at the moment. You know, I can't believe people still aren't doing the last one, or the last one will shock you, or the final tip is insane. It's just like it's always talking about the last thing that you're going to say because you want people to get to that point so that you find out what that thing is because they're already on your video because your videos come from the FYP. So that's why the title is done in that way. Whereas YouTube, you physically need to get people to click on the actual video. So you need to give more of a hook and more of a storyline to why am I actually going to click there in the first place? And that takes a lot of getting used to. But once you get it down, you can get the same video, two different dress ups, bang on both platforms.
And then last question then, and maybe a relatively quick one is,
Yeah.
for new streamers, what are the important things to have in your about me section or in your panels on your streams? Is there anything that you think people actually definitely need to have?
Yeah, so again, Marcus, if alongside the link tree, you want to do a screenshot of my Twitch one, if people want an example or they don't know where to start, you're more than welcome to do that with Discord or whatever will help the guys and girls out. I mean, with mine, so obviously I have my about me section. I say who I am, what kind of games I focus on, what you expect to find in a stream. I think it's quite a nice one. Upbeat energy, we bring really positive atmosphere, etc. Obviously, your schedule, when do you stream? Via your time zone as well is really important. And then with Twitch, you've got easy, like clickable, like links and panels that you can use. So I have like an area for like subscriptions. I have one for each of my social medias. I have my partners in there. Um, and then even like things like what does a subscription get you? So if I'm a new viewer and I go into your panels, and I'm like, okay, kind of like this streamer, but if I subscribe to them, what do I actually get? And then if you've got like a list of that, that already is setting you apart from what everyone else is doing. It's like, oh, so if I spend my Twitch Prime or whatever here, I'll get in this person's games, I get a new role in Discord, I get more points for watching from the point system, etc. So that's what I would say, to be honest. Again, there's no defined answer to it because it's all about what you want it to be. But if it's not personable and you're not selling yourself and your brand in there, then you're just missing an opportunity to sell yourself, really. So you never know who's going to watch.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks everyone for the questions and thanks Stallion for answering them. Appreciate your time.
No worries.
Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed the video and make sure to submit any questions you have for any other future ones we have too.